You're listening to the Multiverse Fan Cast, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
All right then, on with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Multiverse Fan Cast. Don't forget, you could take us on the go with Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, or basically anywhere that you listen to music or podcasts. Don't forget, you can also find us on our website, themisfitfaction.com. On there, you'll get links to all of our social media, as well as all the different podcasts we do. Again, like Cinematic Adventures, MF Uncensored, and obviously, Multiverse Fan Cast. In the studio today, we have Paul. Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, Ronnie. How are you today?
I am doing amazing.
You know, Ronnie, I'm
feeling a little diabolical, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out that I really like your shirt.
Why, thank you. You mean my MF Uncensored shirt that I got from the misfitfaction.com store?
Wow. Where can I get that shirt? It was going to be my follow-up question. But
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. But wow, the misfitfaction.com? What's that?
That's our website that I just talked about.
Well, damn it. I'm good to answer your question.
And moving on from that, we also have Rob. Rob, how are you?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing good.
Did you just get hit in the nuts?
No, we're all doing different animation styles, apparently.
Well, I'm glad that you were doing good.
I need to do like an anime voice. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, speaking of animation styles, we have an episode for you today, I guess.
Ronnie, I think, is going to struggle through this one.
Oh, I'm going to
That's why we made him
struggle
host.
just like Amazon Prime did with this show. So today we are
As
talking
long as we get that 2-day
about
free shipping.
The Boys. Diabolical.
Aww.
Yeah.
We were going to talk about The Boys. You guys tricked me.
We will talk about The Boys towards the tail end,
Yeah.
but we're going to kick things off talking about the atrocious series The Boys Presents Diabolical.
It's weird because the series received critical acclaim upon release, with praise going to the animation, voice acting, writing, humor, and themes.
Yeah, well, that's also the critics that also are always the complete opposite of the fans.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah. So
we are continuing our gore-soaked month
yes,
with Diabolical.
which wasn't really that gore-soaky. I feel like
the first episode was pretty gore-soaked.
yeah.
Gore-soaked.
And a guy flies through another guy.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Spoilers?
But also, compared to season 1 and season 2 of this was pretty tame, in my opinion.
We are going full spoilers for Diabolical here today, folks, as well as season 1 and 2.
Yes. So, like I said, we'll kick things off with Diabolical, then towards the tail end, we'll just do a quick little recap of season 1 and season 2 of The Boys, because today is June 3rd, which means 3 episodes have dropped of season 3. However, none of us have seen any of those yet. So what we'll do is at the tail end, like I said, is when we talk about the first 2 seasons, we'll give our thoughts about what we think season 3 is going to be like, and then just be on the lookout. In a couple of weeks, we'll give our mid-season review.
Now,
for The
also,
Boys.
if you guys are looking for a more in-depth review of season 1 and season 2 of The Boys, we did do an episode. I think I even titled it Vaught Industries Presents The Boys.
I think
Yeah.
And we talked about season 1 and 2. And we did our initial thoughts, but that was before any sort of trailer, any sort of teaser. Like, this was before, like, the entertainment machine was really running hard for The Boys season 3 in a way that we haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've mentioned in previous episodes that Amazon did really well with promoting The Boys. Season 1, season 2, and now season 3.
Why am I so uncomfortable in hearing that Amazon did really well? Like, I feel like Jeff Bezos is like behind everything.
Well,
And
so
isn't that like the themes of The Boys, that there's a
Big
evil corporation
Yeah.
behind it with an evil mastermind?
Well, it's funny because The Boys is really Amazon Prime's flagship show. It was the first one of, like, the first big show of their streaming service, because we're in the middle of the streaming wars right now. You know, the day of recording, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi's killing it on
Yep.
Disney Plus, and it's fantastic if you guys haven't watched it. We're going to do an episode actually on Cinematic Adventures for it. Stranger Things Season 4 Part 1 just came out.
which
and
killed.
It's doing fantastic, and it's really good, too.
Yeah, everyone is talking about it.
And then, we have The Boys releasing
Get in on the
today.
conversation.
HBO Max is doing well with all of their streaming stuff too, to a point. It's especially the DC stuff, definitely. But it's such a weird time where streaming is such a big part of what we do and how we interact. And people don't watch cable television anymore. It's going out.
Is it just me, or is it really hard to find things on Amazon Prime movie-wise? Like,
I actually enjoy their movie selection.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
They're like originals?
The format, like trying to search for things on Amazon without like accidentally purchasing a ball of twine or something like that. Like it doesn't seem like the streaming service and their shop service doesn't seem to be
On the computer, yes.
yes.
Oh, I only watch it on my TV.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So
That's what I was like, huh?
we're able to actually tell our remote to be like, hey, play our Amazon Prime, and it'll actually pop
Okay.
up just the
Yeah.
movie stuff. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's hard to
I was
it's
so
hard to
confused
just
for a second.
browse Amazon Prime.
So it's funny. Again, we talk about streaming, and streaming has changed so much since when it first came out, especially with Netflix, where you had to have some sort of secondary viewing device to watch it.
Yeah.
Like we had the app on the Xbox and the
Yeah.
PlayStation when Ronnie and I were sharing a home with our
Yeah.
Cinematic Adventures co-star Sean during the time where we all lived together and didn't do a single freaking podcast episode.
We were
And
busy doing nothing.
Ironically enough, and if you guys have been listening to us for long enough, I think we even talked about this. We came back together to relaunch the podcast once while we were all living together, with the exception of Rob.
No, yeah, I wasn't living with them. I had a life.
He wishes, but how's your pool? So too soon. Sorry, buddy.
Running down
Actually-
down the mountain.
Actually, this
She'll be
episode's
running
coming
down
out
the
in 2
mountain.
weeks.
So
who
I
knows?
should have a nice heated pool all ready by then.
Knock on wood.
I just jinxed it.
We wish you the best on this one. But we did an episode on Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I remember Rob was there, and Ronnie was there. I don't know if Sean was included on that one, but because he wasn't watching any of the Arrowverse
I don't
shows.
think so.
But something happened with the audio, and it completely corrupted, and it just destroyed us.
Yeah.
But I don't even know what I was talking about.
About us coming back together, but that took the winds out of our sails, and it took us another year or two to start bringing it back.
I thought we were talking about Amazon.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't know how we got to his story, but I know where his story was.
yeah, I knew
The
where my
evil
story was. I just
corporation.
said it. But there was because we were living together. That's where that started, and we would have to go on turn on the Xbox, put on
Yeah.
Netflix, and
Oh, yeah.
nowadays, like I said, we say into our remote Netflix, and it'll pop up.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's so streaming is such it's so much even more convenient, and that's why people aren't really watching cable TV anymore.
We cut the cable a long time
Yeah.
ago. But I know, I watch a lot of the Amazon stuff on my laptop, and it's really hard to search for stuff and find it because, the shopping stuff is still integrated there. So I blame Jeff Bezos and his penis rocket.
I wish I had one though. Still,
A penis rocket?
Or a peanut. What?
that just got really diabolical really quick. All right, so actually, you know what? That's even funnier because
Wait, how are you going to segue this?
I'm going to segue this. You ready? I'm going to segue this.
Okay.
Well, you are a cop, but not a mall
So
cop.
I watched this show. So for those of you guys who know, I do Fan Feedback Friday, right? I do that.
Oh.
Fan Feedback Friday is something I do every week, and sometimes I struggle with some of my questions. But one of my favorite questions was actually recently before I watched Diabolical, because it's been out for a while and I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's been out since March.
And
Almost a month.
Just
March
like
4th.
No, it's June right now. It's
2 months. Holy shnikes. It's been almost 3 months.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of my
Holy
favorite
Batman.
questions that I did for Fan Feedback Friday was, what's a superpower with the terrible drawback, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they do a whole episode of people with superpowers that just kind of suck.
yeah.
And
Boombox.
Kevin Smith and his stupid
Yeah.
boob eyes.
but still, that's. Say what you will about this show. We're all going to be of different opinions in this show. I know Ronnie and Rob are a little lukewarm on it. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it.
Diabolical?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is weird because I normally don't like anthologies.
Yeah.
So for me, I really enjoyed and we'll get through it. We're going to go through it. And I really enjoy the idea of different genres and different episodes.
Yeah, that is kind of neat.
And for me, like the fact that my Fan Feedback Friday came to life in an episode is just hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, about the superpowers.
Were you not paying attention?
He was too busy throwing caps around. Yeah. But so I'm excited to actually talk about this.
I'm glad you are.
So news.
Yeah. Paul, you got any news for us today?
I don't know. Do I? So, yeah, not a whole lot of news this week, but we do have a couple of big things. We're going to talk a little bit more about them next week, but we're just going to throw them out here right now. So, first and foremost, Spider-Man No Way Home, an extended cut, is heading back to theaters in September. Interesting, it seems more cash grabby than anything else. We have very few details on what's going to be included as of right now, but yeah, that's going to be happening. I know a lot of movies have been doing it just to kind of push their numbers a little bit further. Obviously, Morbius just did it. Avatar's done it, so we'll see what happens in September when that rolls around. Amazon Prime has renewed The Boys for season 4 already. We only have 3 episodes in at the time of recording, but already they're talking about a 4th season, and it is confirmed, so that's really exciting. And then lastly, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this again next week, the Black Adam trailer just dropped, and we're excited for it. So those are the 3 biggest things that we have going on right now.
Insert here.
I don't know. That's the news.
Thanks. That was great. I enjoyed that.
Awesome. So I guess we'll just take a quick break, but when we come back, we will be talking about Diabolical.
Woo!
Today's episode is brought to you by Ray's Energy Drinks from Rep Sports. Whether you're trying to crush your afternoon workout or just need a little extra pick-me-up, Ray's Energy is just the boost that you're going to need. So if you go to repsports.com and any product that you order, enter the code MISFIT89 at checkout to receive 15% off. Anything that you guys buy from that store helps our network grow, and we fully appreciate everything you guys do. That's MISFIT89 at checkout, repsports.com.
Welcome back. We hope you all had a nice break like we did. Our pee break was fantastic. So we are going to be kicking things off with this episode, like I said, talking about The Boys Presents Diabolical.
Ronnie
so
hated
this
it.
was an animated series, or short series, I guess, because it's only 8 episodes. Limited series,
Yes.
Hopefully.
Not according to Paul.
Not according to Paul, but
And the critics.
yeah, I guess so.
Oh, Paul thinks
so
he's
we
like
had
hot stuff now.
This was created by Eric Kripke, Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, and it's loosely based off of The Boys.
So
I guess
what's your
somehow.
connection here? Go ahead and tell us what your connection is that you made to me earlier this week.
Oh, about What If?
Yes.
How very What If-ish this was?
Very.
It was, yeah. So What If was basically like stories that at the time didn't seem to really relate until the very end. And that's basically what you get with this show, where it's just a bunch of different stories. The only thing that relates to it is the dog in the opening credit scenes.
Terror?
Yeah,
Is that the dog's name?
that's basically the only relation you have until basically the last episode or 2-ish, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, so honestly, I watched this and it took me like a day to watch or so because they're very short. They're only like 15, 20-ish minute long.
No, they're even less.
Are they?
Yeah, they're like 12 minutes.
13 to
Okay.
15 minutes.
When you
is
cut out
average
the
runtime.
Amazon
I guess.
ads and the credits,
Yeah.
and I think
So
there's
it's got like a runtime of 20-ish, but
think there's
overall it's like 13 to 15
ad
minutes.
at the end for toothpaste or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, what's crazy too is the fact that you have some great casting in this.
Would you like me to do a cast
You
list?
have a lot of big names. I mean, if you wanted to, so you can talk instead of me.
All right. So here is the generalized voice list. It is not all of, I believe it's all of them,
General voice
but
list.
we have Aquafina, Michael Cera, Don Cheadle, Chase Crawford, Kieran Culkin, Giancarlo Esposito, Jason Isaacs, Kumail Nanjiani. I hope I got that right because I really like him. Simon Pegg, Justin Rowland, Andy Samberg, Ben Schwartz, Elizabeth Shue, Christian Slater, Kevin Smith, Anthony Starr, Kenan Thompson, Aisha Tyler, and Young Yu-Jun.
And you also have Blue Beetle in this. Zolo.
I can't say his
is
last name.
Yeah, Zolo Maraduena.
So that's the top build cast.
yeah.
I will say one of the nice things about Amazon is that X-ray thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever used that? Yeah, okay, both of you are saying yes. Yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can when I'm watching it on my laptop, if I move the mouse, like the X-ray for Amazon comes up and it tells me all of the characters and the actors who I'm currently watching on screen. And then if you click on it, it'll tell you like their IMDb stuff.
Yeah.
So I do like. I wish Netflix had something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, again, you have a lot of big cast names in here. You know, some of them you're kind of like. You don't really know who they are unless you see the cast list. Right. Like some of them don't really have that, you know, like Awkwafina. When you hear Awkwafina, you know it's Awkwafina. A lot of the other people in this, you know, nobody really stands out except for maybe like Simon Pegg.
Right. I will say also, don't forget that there's a lot of the boys cast members that are in these episodes too.
Yeah,
that
Elizabeth Shue, Anthony Starr,
yeah, they play.
But I mean, people. You even look at the first episode, which is Laser Baby's Day Out, which was actually like the teaser for the entire show. Was basically the Laser Baby, and the lab assistant, who's the star of it, is played by Ben Schwartz. He doesn't have a single line of dialogue.
Yeah,
but it's Ben Schwartz, who is now like I wouldn't say a hot item, but like a much bigger item after the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, and he was on Parks and Rec for a little bit too.
Yep.
And you know where I first saw Ben Schwartz? Ronnie, come on. You can do this.
I'm going to say Supernatural.
Bigger callback. Deeper cut.
Smallville?
Deeper cut.
Deeper than Smallville?
No, you're not going to get it right. It's not superhero related at all. It's not even a TV show.
I'm trying to look
I
up
will
who
say
Ben Schwartz is.
I will say
Fired Up?
Okay. I will say one line and you will get it immediately.
Oh shit, pressure's on.
All right, you ready?
All right.
Oh sheesh, y'all. 'Twas a dream. You got this.
Oh my god.
You got this.
No,
it is you and I as a webcam. Oh no, never mind.
What? This is a family-friendly show.
Ronnie just dropped. He just said.
I heard it. Yeah.
I got it.
You got this.
YouTube.
Come on, you got this.
Jake and Amir.
There it is.
One of my kids mentioned this to me today, and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
So Jake and Amir College Humor was a website that got really big when YouTube got really big. Mm-hmm. College Humor, basically, they do shorts and they do comedy sketches, and their flagship show was Jake and Amir. Okay. And basically, it's literally the definition of straight man versus the comedic guy. Okay. And they work at the College Humor offices, and one's really weird and one's really normal, and then every once in a while they'll role switch. And Ben Schwartz plays a character in the show where every episode he's in, he pretends to be somebody else, and he's really bad at making up names.
Cherry Dude Sulu Candles?
Yes. Yeah. But then at the end of the show, so the series went on for a long time. They had like a Facebook. I
see that.
Facebook tried to do their own streaming service, and Jake and Amir was the first Facebook movie that they made. Yeah. And but at the end of the show, you find out that all of the characters that Ben Schwartz played with all the really bad made up names were all real characters in the show, and Ben Schwartz played all of them, and they all come together for like an episode. Yeah, it's really funny. But that was my first time ever seeing Ben Schwartz, and he got really big after Star Wars. He voices BB-8, the droid.
That's a thing.
I guess so. But I really like Ben Schwartz, and it's funny the fact that Sonic the Hedgehog.
What does he do? Is he the voice of Sonic? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So. There you go. There's your deep cut of the day.
Oh, wow.
But Jake and Amir just came back as not only a podcast, but also they do a lot of Patreon stuff. They go back through old videos. They made new videos. So
I see he does a lot of voice work. Yeah.
Robot
Chicken,
Robot Chicken.
Burgers.
Yeah. But so there's your deep cut of the day.
What a deep cut that was, sir.
Oh, it's quite a tangent.
Yeah. How did we get there?
We're so diabolical.
Yes, it was connected because we were talking about Ben Schwartz in the first episode about how he doesn't say anything, even though that's what he's known for. So I mean, let's do this because I don't know where to start with this show, just because I didn't really like it. So
episode at a time. Oh, Paul, go ahead.
Let's hear some things that you liked about it that maybe will kind of persuade Rob and I to tolerate or semi-like the show.
I think we've established at this point that Ronnie and I really didn't like this series. Yeah. Like it was, for me, it was painful at times.
So on Tuesday, we were talking and I said, I think I might have liked What If better.
That's a big
statement. And I agreed.
Yes, and Rob agreed, and that's a big statement because all three of us if I remember correctly, did not like What If.
We were not gentle with it.
So for Rob and I to say that we liked this worse than that,
Yeah.
it is a big statement. So let's hear from Paul to see if maybe he can persuade us a little bit.
Okay, so
I'm going to go get a beer.
yeah. So for me, let's start off with I don't like anthologies. I'm not a big fan of anthologies.
Are you a fan of Black Mirror at all?
No.
Oh, really?
No,
Wow.
Producer Melanie is. For me,
I love Black Mirror.
if I'm going to watch a show, and this started with American Horror Story.
Mm-hmm.
This is because I never watched anthologies. I was never a big If I'm going to watch something, I get invested in it.
Yeah, you want the long
And I
haul.
get invested in the characters. And American Horror Story, I liked the first season, and then I started watching the second season. And I was like, wait, are all the actors the same actors
Right, but
playing
different roles?
And I was like, I'm just not into it as much. And that's not a statement of quality because, I mean, I'm sure it was fantastic, but like, it just wasn't for me. I don't like anthologies.
I actually understand that because, like, I know everyone's talking right now about Love, Death, and Robots, and I wasn't into it because it just every 20 minutes it changes up the story and the characters, and it doesn't give you time to get invested. So I get that.
Like Rob and I watched Altered Carbon, and one of the first things Rob said to me when we were about to watch it was the second season's horrible.
Yeah, don't watch second season.
The only redeeming quality of the second season is Anthony Mackie still manages, because basically in Altered Carbon you have a bunch of actors playing almost the same characters, and they do a decent job with portraying this is the character and this is just the actor that's portraying said character. So for this, I walked in and I was like, you know what, I'm going to keep a very open mind because I love the story of the boys, and for me it's always the concept of what real life would look like with superpowers, and this show is the definition of how the real world would look with superpowers. Because when we think superpowers, we think glamour, we think, being able to fly and this and that. And I'll say that there are 3 episodes of the show that I love.
You're talking about Diabolical.
Of Diabolical.
Okay.
The first is the first episode is fine. Like we weren't sure what to expect, and then suddenly we got like a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah.
And
It's very Tex Avery.
And I think that this show actually did better the fact that the episodes were so short. I think that actually I helped. I think especially for the first episode, I think it helped out because imagine 35 minutes of the first episode. It would have been it would have been boring and repetitive and et cetera, et cetera. But for me, I love the second episode where it's all
which is entitled An Animated Short Where Pissed Off Soups Kill Their Parents.
And in all
That's
honesty,
my favorite episode.
is it?
Oh, really?
Is
That
it
was
really?
like my least.
It's my favorite because I like Rick and Morty.
And that's the style that it's based on.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But for me, the second episode, it resonates because this is why I like The Boys, because it shows what's happening behind the scenes. Sometimes you get Compound V, you put it in a baby, and you get Homelander. Then other times you get somebody with boobs on his face.
Yeah.
And that's his power.
Or a boombox.
But you look at X-Men. There are thousands of X-Men characters that have powers that make zero sense. That are there's a character named Maggot in X-Men, where literally his power is giant maggots that eat things.
Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel Girl rules, dude.
Yeah, I knew you were going to trigger around with that one. But I really liked the episode and the idea that these parents give up their kids because they didn't turn out to be Homelanders or Black Noirs or stuff like that. So that was the episode that caught me. And also the character, the narrator. I just thought it was funny. We're sitting there going, and I'm like, is that Christian Slater?
Yeah.
It's Christian Slater. I really liked I'm Your Pusher is what the show should have been, in all honesty, where it is Billy Butcher and Hughie and Simon.
This is the third episode.
This is the third episode, and Simon Pegg actually as Hughie.
Right, and he actually looks like Simon Pegg, and he looks like Hughie from the comics.
Yeah. I'm Your Pusher is the most direct adaptation of the comics, right? It's what if they had just made an animated show of the boys, it would have been I'm Your Pusher. And it also goes back to that season 1 feel of how do soups party? What do they do to get their kicks, right? Homelander does cocaine with human adrenaline in it. Yeah. And, Queen Maeve has her drinks with whatever pills. So I enjoyed the concept of that one. I'll still say the second episode is my favorite. And then Boyd in 3D. I know I'm kind of going in order, but those are my top 3, and it just happened to be in that order. Boyd in 3D is a very interesting take.
It's a very Black Mirror kind of episode.
Very Black Mirror, very what would happen if you got a very mundane but life-changing superpower, right?
Yeah.
Just the ability to make yourself look better and how the world interacts. And, obviously thousands of takes on social media and what would happen with social media. And then at the end, you find out that it was all in his head. Like, I was like, oh, that got dark really quick.
I wasn't sure about that. Was it everything in his head?
Everything was in his head. Yeah. The whole thing. He was just sitting in that lab table. Just
I was reading some reviews on that one, and it said I loved it until the very end.
Really?
Yeah, which I felt the same way. Like
I like a good twist though.
Because you know what, I hate that too, where it's just like this was all in their head. The end. It's like
but for the sake
for you older viewers, it's sort of the JR got shot and Bobby's in the shower kind of thing.
That's a good one. There's another one where I think it was some sort of hospital show. And the big twist at the end was that it was all in the mind of an.
Wasn't it Scrubs?
It wasn't Scrubs.
It wasn't.
No, this was a much older show. I forget the name of it. So if you guys remember,
it's not General Hospital.
It's not. It might. I don't know.
It was a soap opera.
But no,
right.
there's a soap opera that takes place in a hospital, and at the end of the show, you find out that it's all in the minds of
Young and Restless.
Get out of here! Stop.
Now you're just shouting stuff out.
It's all in the mind of an autistic kid. Yeah, and he's at the hospital's like in a snow globe that he plays with.
Huh.
Yeah, it's worth a Google for those of you guys.
Don't worry, Rob's doing it.
I'm on it.
I know. So like those 3 episodes, like if I tell anybody to watch this show, those are the 3 episodes that kind of jump at me. I do like the last one. It does address a lot of like the
St. Elsewhere.
There it is. Thank you. That was driving me crazy.
Really? That's how they ended St. Elsewhere? Mm-hmm. Poor Denzel.
Yeah. But I think Ronnie even mentioned before, because he watched it before I did, and he said, this show has nothing to do with the actual boys show, except for maybe the last 2 episodes.
And I'm okay with that, usually. The problem is that, like, what this show showed me more than anything was that The Boys is a tricky property that needs to be in the right hands of the right people. And when it's in the wrong hands, boy, is it bad.
Yeah.
Like this, it's like, Aquafina bad.
Yeah. So to me, what this should have been was almost like how you do Supernatural, kind of in a way, where it's we're going to have the same writer for all of it, but we're going to give a different director to give different animation style.
That would have been a good idea.
That would have been great if it was, this is our writer. Maybe you pick like 2, 3, whatever, to write every single episode, but then you give different directors to do their different animation styles, and I think it would have been a lot better. I mean, just look at The Boys. Like, The Boys is, to me, one of probably the best shows out there, superhero-based wise. Eric Kripke did a great job with that. So, to me, that's where it just fell. Nothing seemed to be together, and I wanted somehow for this to tie in to The Boys or whatever. I got a question. The baby with the laser vision, is that Homelander?
No.
That's just a thing.
Just a baby.
Well, because here's the setup for the show
eyes.
Is that they said to all of these filmmakers, you get free reign, do whatever you want, create your own scripts, just have it sort of exist in the Boys universe and pick whatever animation style you want. And there was like no rules. So
yeah, again, some rules to it would have been
they
a lot
at least needed train tracks to keep the people on a path.
Yeah. Like I said, I liked seeing the different animation styles in it, but it's just I don't know. It just there wasn't that much substance to this.
No, it was a neat experiment that's not really worth looking at.
Yeah.
So I would have had more issue with this show if they had one continuous track. Like, What If eventually did turn into one story.
Right.
Yeah.
But imagine if What If each episode had a different animation style and they still tried to do the one train. I think the animation style, which you guys seem to have enjoyed, how every episode had a different style to it, it made more sense the fact that all of this was so disconnected. You couldn't have connected this entire the boob guy could not have saved Homelander at the end in the last episode. Like, it just wouldn't have
I would have
worked.
watched that.
I know I would have watched that too.
Yeah.
But for me, like I still say that the best animation or like if they had done it all in the style of The Boys that they do in the OD episode, then they could have done one show with that entire style and that storyline. It would have made the most sense.
I think that maybe is I'll speak for Rob, but Rob, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that maybe what Rob and I were hoping for was it was kind of like more just The Boys, but animated, almost like Invincible.
Yeah, there was not a lot of boys in these boys.
Yeah.
That's true. And I don't mind sort of the Black Mirror aspects of it. Like Boyd in 3D, I thought was good up to a point. But then you have stuff like BFFs, where what the hell was that?
Yeah.
It was...
Do you just not like Aquafina?
That's actually quite the opposite. I love Aquafina. This was a talking piece of poop. That's the episode.
Yeah.
It was so gross. It was icky, like gross.
I agree. That was definitely the worst episode out of all of them.
According to IMDb, it's actually the lowest rated at a 4.1 also. Yes, there's a question.
I would also like to address that this is now 2 podcast episodes in a row that Rob has used icky feel to describe
I realized that once it came out of my mouth. I'm like,
well, that's because poop is icky.
I still always think of the Golgothan from Dogma. It's a poop monster.
Oh, see, that was cool though.
Yeah. So Rob, I'm assuming BFFs was your least liked episode.
I don't know.
Was it a crappy episode?
It was. See, the thing is, at least with BFFs, I did like the animation style. That was kind of neat, and I like Aquafina, but just it was hard to sit through. Honestly, I actually thought the Rick and Morty animated super short pissed off one was actually one of my least favorites because it was so like just gratuitous for the sake of gratuity. Like it was just there was no point. It was like, how shocking can we be? And I was like and I love Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
And it just didn't fly with me. Yes, question in the back.
All right, so this is normally something we do on Cinematic Adventures, but I'm going to do it for the sake of this.
Ooh.
Who would win in a fight? The boob face guy?
Oh, Kevin Smith's boob face guy.
Or Moslow.
No. Oh. Or the demon from Little Nicky who gets boobs on his head.
Oh.
I got to tap out. And I've actually
You've never seen Little Nicky? It's such a good movie. Well, scratch that. It's not a good movie. It is a
glad you said that.
It is a guilty pleasure, enjoyable movie, and one of the better Adam Sandler movies.
So Ronnie's going to have to tackle this one.
I'm going to have to call Sean in a second. We're going to just Skype
Can I
Sean
phone
in.
a friend and call Sean?
Okay, I'm going to say booby face. Just because it's Kevin Smith.
That's fair. That's fair. And also...
the only reason why.
So, not to get too gratuitous, but in the movie Little Nicky, one of the demons as punishment gets 2 boobs attached to the top of his head.
Yeah.
And in the credit... I think it's Alan Covert, too. I want to say that it's one of Adam Sandler's buddies.
Yeah.
And...
What a shock.
In the credits, he's listed as Tithead. That's his actual name for the rest of the movie, too.
All right. So, when I started watching this show, Diabolical... I started watching the first episode. I'm like, oh, this is neat. This is fun. It's Tex Avery. And I found myself not... That was Kevin Nealon, really? I found myself not laughing at all. And I'm like, oh, no, we've got a problem now. And then the second episode was that the boob eyes. And I'm like, this is supposed to be funny. And I'm not laughing.
So let me ask you a question. If you watch like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, do you laugh? I don't
Am
ever.
I a dork if I say yes?
But you know what though? Like I've never watched a Bugs Bunny. Like as much as I enjoy Bugs Bunny, and we grew up on Space Jam, not Space Jam and New Legacy crap. That's another Cinematic Adventures joke. Sorry, I forget what podcast I'm doing sometimes. But we grew up with with a lot of that stuff. But I don't ever remember watching.
That's true.
I'll chuckle at like the duck season, rabbit season.
But at least with those moments. I recognize it as funny and I'm enjoying it because it's funny. In this, I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be funny and I'm supposed to be enjoying it, but I'm not finding it funny. Like it's set up as being funny, but there's nothing about it. Like with Rick and Morty stuff, yeah, I would agree. I'm not necessarily laughing out loud, but I am finding it funny and enjoying it on that level. Whereas with this, I wasn't. So that's why I think I was okay with the I'm Your Pusher one, because at least that was going for that similarly dark humor of the boys. And it was a more serious storyline too.
I love in I'm Your Pusher when he's flying around totally out of his mind and they're like, what does he do? He flies really fast. Yes. Like that, they're just like crap. Who is Jack from Jupiter though? That's what Melanie goes. So I go, well, he's a Martian Manhunter parody, but Yeah, they never mentioned it. It's the most comic based of the entire thing because The Boys, the TV show or the Prime show, is not 100% comic accurate.
No, I've read a couple of them. And
It can't be.
not.
Yeah.
So,
It can't be.
wait, you watched this with producer Melanie?
Oh yeah.
What was her thoughts on this?
She enjoyed it, and then she didn't enjoy it. She kind of went in waves in it, but I remember sitting there watching the first couple of episodes, and there were parts where we both were like, "Oh God!" Like because it especially that first episode, it jumps quick.
Yeah, it's carnage left and right. Yeah.
And not at first though. It's when the baby they finally get out and the baby blows a hole in somebody, and so you can only do so much with live action before the point like it's just not physical. Especially the first season of The Boys, they had to be very conservative because they also had a much smaller budget. Right. You know, Prime was just starting. Even when
Jeff Bezos was being stingy.
Yeah, when Robin dies, you don't see her actually get hit and explode in that first episode. You just see him holding her hands, and it's a jump cut.
Right. Yeah.
So and that's how they save money. So for this, like we were watching, and then suddenly it goes 0 to 100 because it's animation, and you can. And also, there's not a whole lot of animation that I can think of off the top of my head that has such graphic violence in it. Are there, especially with anime and stuff like that? Yes, but the fact that like you're seeing intestines hanging out when the Great Wide Wonder flies through Ironhide.
Yeah, I think you'd have to go into into some anime for
it
some
is
of that
like
stuff.
it's horrifically graphic. And for me, like we were watching it, and there were parts where we were both like, "Oh God!"
I think if you start going in deep anime like Chainsaw Man and stuff like that,
or Attack on Titan stuff like that, even.
So, all right, what did you think about the Nubian versus Nubian one?
I'll let Ronnie take it.
I'll
let Ronnie take that one.
Why?
Because I don't remember it off the top of my head.
All I remember
That
was
the couple that
it was the couple that
the superhero marriage. Yeah.
Again,
Don Cheadle.
Yeah. So literally, episode 1, 5, 6, 7, very, very forgettable.
Okay.
2, 3, 4 are definitely the best. 8, the only reason that it's not forgettable is due to the fact that it just ties into The Boys.
It's continuity.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
That's the only reason why. Like, if it didn't tie in, that's another one that would be like on the bottom end and everything.
And it seems tonally consistent with the show too.
Yes. Yeah. But in Nubian versus Nubian, I mean, I thought it was stupid. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it might have been the worst one.
Really?
Yeah.
Worse than the poop one?
It's a toss-up between those two for me. Maybe the poop one is number one as far as like being the worst, and then Nubian is number 2.
Like at least with the Nubian one,
maybe I'll make BFF number 2.
All right, the first half of Nubian was actually good, but then it just when the kid got involved and she started like bringing the bad guy in, I'm like, this is dumb. And then the you know what? Here it is. For a lot of these, the endings were all terrible.
Yeah.
Like none of them ended in a place where I'm like, oh, that's clever or that's cool. It was always like, oh, that's such a step back from where they were going.
I don't know. Are all of these characters in the comics?
No.
Boo-bye guy is not?
No.
I don't think so. Not a lot of these characters. I'm not 100% familiar with the comics, so I can't. I don't want to speak to
I'm
it.
like,
I seriously doubt it.
Speaking of Nubian versus Nubian, Groundhog?
I would.
Like, what? Like,
he might. I don't know.
Like I'm just like so confused because why is he dressed like a hawk and has metal clubs as hands?
Don't you know how to ground hawk? I don't know. I panicked.
Oh, no, he is. Here he is. Groundhog is a minor antagonist of the controversial comic. He is the leader of the superhero team, the G-Men.
Oh, not even good enough to be the A.
Some of them are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, some of them are, but like some of them I feel like they had to create for this, and they did a bad job creating some of these
Laser
guys.
Eye Baby.
Yeah, right. Which I could have sworn.
But don't forget, the Laser Eye Baby was in season 1.
Season 1.
Yeah, I could have sworn they were going to, in this, make that like Homelander.
No, thank God they didn't.
Yeah. And that little boy grew up to be Homelander.
Yeah, right? All right, so you said your goods, right? What was your least favorite episode, Paul?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I mean, obviously the poop one we're all talking about.
Yeah.
Why was that one so bad?
Because it was so crappy of an episode. Like, it didn't make sense at all. Like, she gets superpowers, and it's all it is she be able to poop.
No, she can control poop. Because remember, she takes poop that's sitting around and puts it in people's coffee and stuff.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah,
do
'cause
you
where
need
are
me to
you getting
explain
that
why?
poop from?
All right,
you flush a toilet and the poop is gone.
No, there was animal poop, I think.
But at the end, doesn't she end up with like 30 million pieces of
Come
poop?
to me, my jungle friends.
It's almost like an Ant-Man, but with poop.
Wow.
That's the quote of the week.
It's like
Ronnie wins.
next.
So which one was your?
I would say probably BFFs.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. New rule. You can't mention BFFs anymore as your least favorite episode.
There's only 8 episodes.
Yeah, I know.
So that only takes
because
one away.
That's like saying Batman and Robin is the worst Batman. Everybody knows that. So what's the worst one? Not counting BFFs.
I mean, Nubian versus Nubian also. It's the same points. The John and Son He one is
As written by Andy Samberg, and it's not. There's not a single joke in it either. We should say. Go ahead.
Yeah.
it's. I would watch that over Nubian versus Nubian again.
Yeah.
But that's my piece.
All right. I think it's time to wrap this up.
Star City ratings.
Star City ratings. We're going to save Paul for last to end on a high. Rob, I'm going to have you go first
Oh
on
my
this
God,
one.
I don't know what to think about this. Okay, I admire the fact that they were trying something new. Like I always want to reward risk takers. I love that. And there is creativity here. It's not necessarily an interesting creativity. I do like the fact that they all take different anime styles and animation styles and stuff like that. So, kudos to the voice work, but I can't I don't think I can give it more than like 1.5 because it was painful. It was tough to get through. Thank God each episode was only like 10 to 12 minutes, but I would not recommend this to anybody.
All right. I'm going to go next. And the tough thing is, me saying I think I liked What If better, I'm hoping that I score this lower than I scored What If. I'm going to give this a 2. To me, the reason I'm not going to go lower is because of episodes 2, 3, and 4. Those by far, I probably would have been given, like, if I went, episode by episode, those would have been around, like, the 3.5 to 4 mark for me. All the other episodes are, like, 3 or lower for sure.
You liked Boyd in 3D?
I did.
Why?
I thought it was a unique spin on things.
Social
It was-
commentary.
Yeah.
I kept waiting for I'm like, okay, is the animation going to change? Going to style? When's it become 3D? Like I did, for the longest time, and then I realized, oh, he lives in 3D.
Yeah. I don't know. There was just something about it that just that kept me hooked and interested in, while like the other ones, other than the other two, were kind of like, all right, yeah, I'm done with this episode.
It was a
kind
good
of.
social commentary. I'll give you that.
So because of those 3, I'm going to have it as a 2. Again, I liked seeing the different styles of animation. I just would have preferred if we had the same writer or so, 2, 3 maybe, just to make it seem the same, but at times different. Kind of like What If? Like, what if the animation style was the same and it for majority of it, I would say, but you had it seemed different. Everything seemed different, but at the same time it was the same. While everything was different.
Right.
Nothing seemed to connect to each other at all.
Could you recommend this?
No. not at all. I would, again, episodes 2, 3, and 4, I would say watch those, but overall, I would be like, you don't have to really watch it at all.
Just go watch The Boys.
Just watch The Boys. You don't need to, sometimes it's like, oh, should I watch this in order to see season 3 or anything? And again, maybe episode 8, just because it ties in to The Boys. But yeah, I give this a 2. All right, Mr. Fan.
I'm gonna give it a 3. Just it's one of the it's tough to rate a show like this in its entirety because every episode is so different.
Yeah.
I would say though that I enjoyed it more than I didn't enjoy it. And to say that I enjoyed it more than if I was like half of it's really good, half of it's really bad, then yeah, I'd have a 2.5 because that's literally middle of the road.
Yeah.
For me, I can say I enjoyed it more than I didn't. I wanted to watch more of it. There are some things that were really good in it, and then there are some things that were just kind of meh. And I find that if I'm looking at a show as a whole and I'm like, more good than bad, it's got to be slightly above average. So for me, I give it a 3. I do agree with Ronnie that if you want to watch The Boys, you watch The Boys. You don't need this in your life. This is more just this was a good palette. Like, I wish I had watched this.
You were going to say palate cleanser.
I was, but
and in light of the poop episode, I don't want to.
Well, I wish I had watched this when this first came out as kind of a holdover to get to The Boys.
Right.
That's why they created it.
I know, and unfortunately, I just didn't get a chance. It's so many things to stream.
Yeah. We're really flooded.
Had I known that these were only 15-minute episodes, and they all came out at once, it's not like the weekly setup that The Boys normally has, I probably would have watched this when it first came out, and I kind of wish that I had. I think my perspective would have been different, especially considering, like, literally we're going to stop recording and I'm going to go upstairs with producer Melanie and start watching The Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, 3.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's going to wrap us up for our discussion on Diabolical. Real quick, we're just going to just kind of do like a quick review of season 1, season 2 of The Boys for those that maybe have not listened to our episode on our thoughts of it.
Link below.
But yeah, right. But also, maybe it's been a while that, you've seen season 1, season 2. So, Paul, you want to give us like a quick little recap of season 1, season 2?
The boys are fighting the 7 and Hughie's sad.
The end?
Recap?
Good job.
No, like, seriously, do you want like an actual recap of the show?
If you want to. If you think you're prepared for it.
I can do my best. So, for those of you guys, obviously, if you've listened to this episode thus far, you know what's going on in The Boys, or at least you're fans, or you just like our podcast, one of those things. So,
Probably the first 2.
The Boys is the story of, full spoilers, of Hughie Campbell, who gets pulled into this world where Billy Butcher leads kind of a ragtag group of non-powered individuals who are trying to keep superheroes in line, and the biggest of those being the 7. And the connecting story between Hughie is that his girlfriend gets killed accidentally by A-Train, one of the members of the 7, and then he falls for new member of the 7, Starlight, who's still optimistic and trying to be a hero. And that's the general feel of season 1. Season 2 is the fallout from the end of season 1, where the boys are in hiding. Starlight's acting as a mole and trying to help them bring down Vaughn International. We also get introduced to new character Stormfront, who has her own mysterious past, and we get the revelation that Compound V is what's creating these superheroes. And the end of it does end on a slightly happier note, where the boys become actually a fully sanctioned government team, as they are in the comics. And we get pushed into the next wave of stories that are coming out today.
Yeah. Good job.
Nice.
I'm proud of you.
Good.
And I put you on the spot. I was hoping you'd mess up. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So that's kind of basically where we are at this moment leading up to, again, season 3, which came out today, and none of us have seen it.
At time of recording.
Yes. All right. Who is your favorite character so far?
Season 1 and 2?
Season 1, season 2.
Give me a minute.
So, Paul, I guess you're going first.
I will argue Hughie and Starlight are my favorite together, especially. I don't often find myself engaged in quote unquote the love story of it, but I really enjoy Hughie and Starlight. Hughie's just he does mean well the whole time, and he grows and he changes. As much as I love Billy Butcher, it isn't until the very last episode of season 2 where he finally embraces the kid. I forget the kid's name off the top of my head, but and we see it in the season 3 trailers where they still have a relationship, him and the Homelander's son, basically. Yeah. So for me, I really enjoy Hughie and Starlight, and I root for them too, which is always a big thing. If you're rooting for characters, it means that you resonate with them in some way.
All right.
What about you, Ronnie?
I think my favorite might be Mother's Milk.
I know you love him.
I do. I think I don't know what it is. I think it's just, if I wanted to be any character in this, it would probably be him. I think he's just a complete bad.
BA.
Yeah, that word. BA.
Mother lover.
Yeah, mother lover. And he seems to be the one that always is the voice of reasoning with the boys.
Not Frenchie?
Not Frenchie. He seems to be the one that isn't too far to one side. Like, you got Billy Butcher that's like, all superheroes are bad. We got to kill every single one of them. This, and that. You got Hughie. Hughie, who's just a little crybaby.
Hughie.
Yeah, Hughie.
Hooey.
Hughie is full of pooey.
Ooey baby.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just too much of a crybaby. I almost.
Let's wrap this up there, buddy.
Yeah.
Is it my turn?
I guess I'm done
You started rambling.
because I'm explaining why Mother's Milk is the best.
All right, you're the host, bud.
I know I'm the host, so shut up. And then, so between him and Black Noir, I think those are my top two. If I had to pick one quote unquote superhero and one boy, it would be Mother's Milk and Black Noir as my favorites. Okay. Rob?
I got two. I'm going to say Queen Maeve. Because she seems to be like the moral center of so much in the Seven, trying to do the right thing, and I love her complicated sexuality that she hides so much.
Then they try and business it,
manipulate it, and everything. Like she really is a victim, and I feel so bad for her. So I think I probably have the most empathy for her. I really, really, really like Stan Edgar, Giancarlo Esposito's character. I think because he is the most powerful one on the show, and he has no superpowers whatsoever. And I think that's such a brilliant commentary on society. That the rulers of the world aren't going to be the presidents and dictators; it's going to be the corporate owners. And I think that's
a reflection of real life.
I know, seriously.
Yeah, right. I'm just saying. All right, so now, who's your least favorite?
Least favorite, The Deep.
I was gonna say, are we all gonna say The Deep?
I was thinking The Deep. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, so let's extrapolate a little bit. So The Deep does one of the most horrific acts and don't get Homelander does too, but in the comics it's even worse. Like it's so much worse in the comics what happens to Starlight in that first.
Well, and it's mostly Homelander who does it too. It's not even The Deep.
Oh, Homelander is The Deep is a sidekick to like, and the same thing in the comics. There's two Soldier Boys. The first is what Jensen Ackles is a little bit more portraying, like that actual terrible Captain America, basically. And then the second one is like another wimpy character who's just trying to get in on the Seven, and Homelander actually takes advantage of him sexually. And then he's like, "You're not actually getting in the Seven. Get out of here." Yeah. So for me, like The Deep though in this show is the worst. And then I would argue Homelander obviously is second because he assaults Becca Butcher. Yeah. Like he's not a good person either. Obviously, that's me.
Rob, are you going to say The Deep as well?
Yeah, I think so.
I was going to say I think we're all going to say The Deep.
Well, between The Deep and A-Train.
Yeah.
A-Train is pretty despicable as a human being.
I would also argue Popclaw.
Popclaw.
Popclaw. For those of you guys who don't remember, Popclaw is A-Train's estranged girlfriend who is also hooked on the Compound V and ends up crushing her landlord's head.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gross.
I just like how Patton Oswalt is in this.
Oh yeah.
He voices the gills.
That's
Deep.
right.
Yep.
Oh God.
I think that's great. Good for him making $2 for that.
I gotta say though that and this is a different answer from my other two. The most fascinating character on here, I really think, is Homelander because he is so
psychologically broken.
He really is, and he's disturbing. Like I still remember that scene where where he's on the plane and he's like, I have to let these people die.
Yeah.
Like that is the single most because it was a conscious, unemotional.
Oh, he didn't care.
Decision that he knew that's what was best for him.
And then he spun it.
It was so haunting. Like, it was, he's so despicable, but he's such a fascinating character.
So again, we have not watched any of season 1 or 2, or excuse me, any of season 3. And so I have a friend named John who runs a podcast called Hey Pal, What's New? And he and I worked in the same building, so we constantly chat and we constantly talk. And he watched the first 2 episodes, and one of the first things he said, non-spoiler, he said, Homelander is broken. Wow. Yeah. Like worse than he was psychologically. So I'm very excited to see that.
And his obsession with Elizabeth Shue.
And milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so disturbing.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised you didn't say Robert Singer was your favorite.
Bobby Singer. It's Jim Beaver.
Jim Beaver.
Yeah.
I know.
I really hope him and Jensen Ackles have a scene together this season.
I do too.
That'd be great.
What does he play?
He was a
government guy.
Yeah, the U.S. Secretary of Defense.
Only one episode.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to wrap things up with our discussion. Just talking about what to expect from season 3. What are we hoping for? Who can't we wait for?
Jensen Ackles.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's,
Well, I
was going to say,
well,
is there
Jensen
anybody
Ackles.
else new coming?
So
No,
do you
no.
know what I want for this season? And I'll say it because, as I mentioned, Rob and I watched Altered Carbon. And one of the worst things about Altered Carbon, and Netflix was really guilty of this, where their first season was balls to the wall, crazy.
Yeah, they just didn't care.
And then the second season, it's almost PG.
Yeah.
I'd even argue, like
Yeah.
just the drop off. The Boys has only gotten bigger and more grandiose in just their craziness. Stranger Things just came out with their newest season, and it's horrifying. Like, it's scary, and it's a true return to form. I think Netflix is kind of learning from that. Even like The Witcher season 2 was a lot more tame than The Witcher
very
season
much.
1. So for me,
I would argue even Bridgerton season 2.
My expectation for Boys season 3, very simple. More. Bigger, inappropriate.
Yeah,
Rob?
I gotta echo that. I'm hoping Jensen Ackles doesn't disappoint. I'm hoping he is just, like he said, a douchebag Captain America.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see him and Homelander sort of interact with one another. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm just basically, I feel like this whole part of this episode is just us echoing each other. But yeah, I'm hoping for the same kind of tonality we've had in the first two. Just continue on with that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
You know, just keep the wheel going. You know, there's nothing really wrong with season 1, season 2. Again, can't wait to see Jensen Ackles and everything as Soldier Boy. And then we're getting a bunch of new superpowered characters in this. You know, we're going to have Termite, who's basically
Ant-Man.
has shrinking powers. You got
going to get inappropriate fast.
oh yeah.
Oh, I heard how inappropriate it gets.
We
And
got
they don't hold back.
What else? We got Blue Hawk. There's Mindstorm, and then Tommy TNT, Tessa TNT, the TNT twins. They're called. So I'm just curious to see what else we can see. Like I want to see some new powers, you know, being involved instead of seeing the same old same.
Especially with a bigger budget.
Yes, exactly. So I'm pretty excited to see. Obviously, the first 3 episodes dropped already at the time of recording.
Yeah, get
so
out
I
of-
can't wait
get
to.
out of my
Yeah,
house.
I know, right? Can't wait to watch that. So that's gonna wrap us up for our discussion on The Boys. But before we go, we have our fan feedback Friday.
Yeah, we do.
Insert here.
All right, so this week's Fan Feedback Friday was a little bit more fun. It was, if you were a superhero in real life, so real life superhero, what would your superhero name be and what would you call your sidekick? So let's see, we have, from Ronnie, Dad Joke Man, and his sidekick would be the laughter. Funny. Let's see, we also have responses to these, which is even funnier. So we also have Giggles as the sidekick, or Chuckles. Definitely Chuckles. We have, from producer Melanie, the Snacker. Not sure what her sidekick name would be, but she's open to suggestions. And of course, Ronnie said the Snacker and the Cracker. To which Melanie responded, I'm not sure how well this would be marketed, but yeah, there it is. For me, I said Cheeseburger Man and my partner French Fry, and then a suggestion from our friend Danielle, Chicken Finger Man and your sidekick Mozzarella Stick. That's actually way better. From Rob's film class. All right, here we go, guys. Cat Lady and Dog Pounder, Morbin and Time, Gumball and Darwin, Bat Freak and Little Boy, Christy and Erica, Dactyl and Shump. I have so many follow-up questions and a lot of concerns. Our friend Martin, he wrote Yankee Doodle and his sidekick Ringdin, or Dr. Ohms and Kid Kilowatt. So some fun ones. Thank you guys for jumping in. And don't forget, Fan Feedback Friday, every Friday on our Facebook page, the Multiverse Fan Cast.
Why'd you say that? No. So that's going to wrap us up for today. As always, I'm Ronnie.
And I'm Paul.
And I'm Rob.
And we will be back in a flash.
Morgus.
See ya.
Good job, guys.